Yes, fam, welcome back. Please give me a like, mash that subscribe button, help me grow this channel, fam. So I'm here with another analysis. I'm not going to really call this a reaction. It's more of an analysis. It's the Kendrick, it's the Drake beef shit, you know what I'm saying? But I want to take a different angle on this, you know what I'm saying? I'm not like here to be like, oh, this dude destroyed this dude, blah, blah, blah. I'm here to break this down bar-wise, structure-wise, in kind of a intellectual, academic, literature, writing structure sense, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I'll get into a little of the dirt. Don't discount that. I'll get in a little bit of the dirt, but you know, I'm looking at it as a piece of art and break down the different literary tools that are used. So please come along with your boy. Give me some likes. Give me some subscriptions. I'm just trying to grow this channel. You know what I'm saying? As I'm going into the summer. So check out my other reaction, breakdown analysis, whatever you want to call them. You know, your boy get deep. So here we go. Let's get into it. Kendrick Lamar, Meet the Grams.
Dear Adonis, I'm sorry that man is your father, let me be honest. It takes a man to be a man, your dad is not responsive. I look at him and wish your grandpa would have wore a condom. I'm sorry that you gotta grow up and then stand behind him.
And straight off the top, man, I'm gonna take it back from the top, but I'm a huge horror movie fan. So when I first heard this, you know, I'm like, man, this reminds me of some Albert Hitchcock, you know, M. Night Shyamalan, you know, Vincent Price type horror shit. The way this beat came in, just haunting. And looking at this as a piece of literature, a piece of work, it's almost like an open letter to Drake and his entire family, which was like the craziest part to me. Like, I'm a big Nas fan. I'm the biggest Nas fan. Esco, holla at your boy. You know, when Ether came out, that was scathing, man. But this one right here is something different, fam. So let's get into it again. Let's go back from the top.
Dear Adonis, I'm sorry that man is your father, let me be honest. It takes a man to be a man, your dad is not responsive. I look at him and wish your grandpa would have wore a condom. I'm sorry that you gotta grow up and then stand behind him. Life is hard, I know, and challenges always go beat us home. Sometimes our parents make mistakes that affect us until we grown. And you're a good kid that need good leadership.
Alright, fam. So pause it right there. So let's get into it. So the way it starts out as a letter, brilliant. Like, so these first two lines as a literary tool standalone, you can call this a lyric if you're going by strict poetry and academic terminology, you know what I'm saying? And the way this starts out, it's like, this could qualify as a literary tool. It could qualify as an alliteration, those first two lines. The repetition of the initial consonant sounds. Man is repeated, right? So that man, it takes a man to be a man. You know, that's an alliteration as a literary tool, as a piece of literature. And then you could say there's a consonance literary device there. It's the repetition at close intervals found within the sound, or at that within that phrase, or at the end of words, right? You also have some end rhyme structure going on here. At the end of both lines, you have honest, responsive. Honest, responsive. That, as a literary tool, can be considered an end rhyme. And damn, fam, this track just sounds sinister, man. And then when he gets into the part about your grandpa wear a condom, this is a good bit of storytelling, man. This pocket that Kendrick is in is immaculate in this part of the track. The first two lines really don't rhyme perfectly, If you look at these on paper, they don't rhyme perfectly, but as a poem or literature or a piece of literature, it's a good example of figurative language, right? Words that are literally inaccurate but are used to describe or define something. Usually this language will make use of like a metaphor or simile, even though there aren't any direct metaphors or similes I can pull out right here. But if y'all feel different, drop something in the comment, man. I'm always down for some input. It might also be like an internal rhyme device that comes within several lines. You know, an example of an internal rhyme is like this, right? Example: I wish upon the most beautiful moon in June and hope that soon I will fall in love. So right there, you know, I feel like I see the internal rhyme in this first stanza. Grandpa could have wore a condom. Sorry that you gotta grow up and stand behind him. Yeah, I definitely see like a bit of internal rhyme in there. All right, let's keep it going, fam. Let's keep it going.
Just always go beat us home. Sometimes our parents make mistakes that affect us until we grown. And you're a good kid that need good leadership. Let me be your mentor, since your daddy don't teach you shit. Never let a man piss on your leg, son. Either you die right there or pop that man in the head, son. Never.
Right there. So that next part of the track is definitely an internal rhyme scheme. As a piece of literature, right? It comes within the several lines. There's a good in that first line, right? There's a good example in that first line. Then we have the end rhyme, you know, leadership. Daddy ain't teach you shit. You know what I'm saying? So the internal rhyme is like a good kid, and then he's like, your daddy don't teach you shit. You need good leadership. So that's a good example of the end rhyme. Sorry, not internal rhyme. The end rhyme in those two lines. But yeah, this is a good rhyme scheme, man. And there is an internal rhyme, right? Because in that first line, he uses good twice. You a good kid that need good leadership. And then he transitions into an end rhyme technique as the literary tool that's driving this part of the bar. Because he goes, you a good kid that need good leadership, internal rhyme. And then the very next line, it combines an end rhyme technique, because you have leadership, don't teach you shit. So those two rhyme, right? And then the very next two lines, it's another end rhyme technique that uses the same word at the end of the lines. Son, never let a man piss on your leg, son. Pop that man in the head, son. You know what I mean? So this is just beautiful writing, man. This is just masterful writing. Regardless of the dirt or whatever it's throwing, you know, as a writer and a piece of literature, that is so dope. The very next line, never fall in the escort business, that's bad religion. Please remember, you could be a bitch even if you got bitches. I feel like those are like, these can be considered double entendres, right? And some dirt throwing while we at it. I ain't even gonna lie, some mudslinging. There's always been a question about Drake's religion, his religious stance, you know, and damn, man, this dude put like all those early videos of his talking about his bar mitzvah and shit out there. You know what I'm saying? So that's that's all on you, fam. But yeah, double entendres as a literary device for sure. Let's get back into it.
Or fall in the escort business, that's bad religion. Please remember, you could be a bitch even if you got bitches. Never code switch, whether right or wrong. You're a black man, even if it don't benefit your goals. Do some push-ups, get some discipline. Don't cut through corners like your daddy did. Fuck what Ozempic did. Don't pay to play with them Brazilians. Get a gym membership. Understand, no throwing rocks and hiding hands, that's law.
Woo, woo, woo. Yeah, man, those are some bars, fam. Those are some bars. All right. Never code switch, whether right or wrong. You a black man. Right there, even though there is no obvious perfect rhyme scheme, the pocket that Kendrick is in and that sinister tone, you know, with just the pianos, you feel like Dracula is coming for your neck, fam. You know? And it's just so dope, just the tone Kendrick sets in this part of the bar. And tone is a actual literary device, poetic literature. It's a literary and academic device, right? The tone Kendrick evokes in this part of the rhyme is meant to convey or evoke a disdain for Drake. You know, so I'm just speculating at this point, but I feel like when he was writing this, you know, he was hoping to bring the audience along to feel that disdain for Drake, you know what I mean, and that lack of respect for his character. I think it effectively comes through. As an academic reference, this part is, even though it's an open letter for the entire track, I feel like this part could be considered like a narrative poem, you know? It's a poem that tells a story. He's telling a story of the lack of character his opponent has, right? Then he gets to this dope slant rhyme scheme, right? And for those who don't know, who aren't studied, a slant rhyme is a technique where words that are set in the rhyme scheme, they have similar sounds but are not perfect rhymes, right? So you go like code switch, benefit, discipline, corners like your daddy did, you know what I mean? And then daddy did rhymes very closely with fuck what Ozempic did, you know what I'm saying? So you have the did there, and daddy and Ozempic that just work together to form that kind of slant rhyme scheme, you know what I mean? I feel like in this portion Kendrick even throwing an idiom, you know, that's like you know, just a saying that can give some sort of moral advice, if you please. You know what I mean? I feel like there's like a little idiom right there, man. It's like, don't code switch, son. Yeah, but that's just brilliant writing, man. All right, let's get back into it.
Them Brazilians, get a gym membership. Understand, no throwing rocks and hiding hands, that's law. Don't be ashamed about who you with, that's how he treats your moms. Don't have a kid to hide again, be sure. 5% will comprehend, but 95 is lost. Be proud of who you are.
Whoa, pause it, fam. Pause it. So I gotta address that little stanza, those three lines. Understand, no throwing rocks and hide your hand. Right there, that's an idiom. You know what I mean? Or you could say it's like old folks saying, you know what I mean? You could say that's like, it's an old folks saying. We've all probably heard this like dozens of times, right? And again, that's like one of the underlying things of this track, of how Kendrick went about dismantling Drake and showing his lack of connection to the culture. You know what I mean? Lack of connection to the ancestors. You know what I mean? His lack of connection to the black diaspora. You know what I'm saying? And again, we have some end rhyme literary tools being utilized here. In the first two lines, you have throw rocks, hide your hand, that's law, treat your moms. You know, so those, even though those perfectly rhyme, but they form a good combination to illustrate an end rhyme technique. The line about the kids is so dope too, man. And this is an example of a literary tool, assonance, right? And assonance as a literary tool is the repetition of close intervals of vowels that are spaced close together. Because he's like kid, kid, kid. You know, don't have a kid to hide a kid. You know what I'm saying? He's just blah blah blah. He's hitting you with the I, the ID, the kid. So that's an example of an assonance right there. And then my man gets into some math, man. 5% will comprehend, but 95% is lost. Oh man. Let's play this.
Don't have a kid to hide again, be sure. 5% will comprehend, but 95 is lost. Be proud of who you are. Your strength come from within. A lot of superstars that's real, but your daddy ain't one of them. And you nothing like him. You'll carry yourself as king. Can't understand me right now. Just play this when you 18.
Man, this beat is just so sinister and haunted, man. Did y'all ever watch that HBO show? They tried to reboot it recently. It was this show called In Treatment, where like the entire show took place in a psychiatrist's office. Like the original show, you'd rarely venture outside of it, outside the office. In the new version, I never did watch it, but this is almost like a psychotherapy session for Drake, man. It's like a combination of a psychotherapy session and an open letter. But in this part of the track, again, man, just very complex, very layered. 5%, 95% is lost. You know, Kendrick showing off his math skills. And, you know, he's talking to Adonis with a very complex slant rhyme scheme. To be proud of who you are. Your strength comes from within. Then he throws in like a double, it's a double superstar. You know, your strength comes from within. A double entendre. He throws in a double entendre because he's like, a lot of superstars that's real, but your daddy ain't one of them. You can interpret that like a couple different ways. Like, you have a lot of superstars that are real stand-up people, you know, and then you could interpret it like you have Drake, who is a superstar, but is he really a superstar since he's not really connected to the culture? Or he's a superstar, but he's not a good person. He's not a real guy like the other superstars that are big names, but they are connected to the culture. They are morally stand-up guys. You know what I mean? And then he's like, carry yourself as king. Your daddy ain't one of them. Carry yourself as king. So he's got some internal rhyming devices happening in this part, right? And he's like, king, like him. That's just brilliant, fam, right? And then to top it off, just almost like a throwaway line, but not really. It's like, can't understand this right now. He's like, if your young brain can't interpret this right now, just wait until you're 18 and you get some book learning and some worldly living and learning in your life, fam. Then you'll get this. that's just like, oh man, that's just brilliant writing, man.
That's real, but your daddy ain't one of them. And you nothing like him. You'll carry yourself as king. Can't understand me right now. Just play this when you 18. Dear Sandra, your son got some habits, I hope you don't undermine them. Especially with all the girls that's hurt inside this climate. You're a woman, so you know how it feels to be in alignment with emotions, hoping the man can see you and not be blinded. Dear Dennis, you gave birth to a master manipulator, even using you to...
Pause it, fam, pause it. I gotta get into that, dear Sandra, because right now he switched from addressing Drake's son to addressing Drake's mom. This is just why this track is so brilliant, man. People might say, you know, the beat's monotonous, but personally, I love it. Like, I love this kind of haunting sound, you know what I mean? That's one of the things I loved about Wu-Tang. Like, some of their tracks are so haunting. But anyway, getting into this, right? This portion of the rhyme is just a heavy gut punch, man. Literary wise, Kendrick sticks to the slant rhyme literary technique in dismantling his opponent right here, right? But the first line he's like, I hope you don't undermine him. Next line he goes, especially with all the girls hurt inside this climate. So undermine them, climate. You know, that's like, they're not perfectly aligned rhyme wise, but that's the beauty of using the slant rhyme technique, right? And then he goes, all the girls inside this climate. All right, and then he's just in such a great pocket that even words that don't rhyme perfectly, just kind of the pocket and the way he's flowing on the beat, he's gonna pull it off. You know what I mean? He just flows seamlessly. So if you look at those 4 lines, at the end of each line, you have what? You have undermine him, climate, alignment, blinded. So that's like a slant rhyme / end rhyme type technique, because the end of each line, they like, when you look at them, they don't perfectly rhyme, but again, because of the pocket, his cadence, just the way he's on the beat, you know, perfect end rhyme, man. This is a masterclass in writing. You have undermine him, climate, alignment, you know, flowing perfectly. And then he goes into addressing homo's pops.
Dear Sandra, your son got some habits, I hope you don't undermine them. Especially with all the girls that's hurt inside this climate. You're a woman, so you know how it feels to be in alignment with emotions, hoping the man can see you and not be blinded. Dear Dennis, you gave birth to a master manipulator. Even using you to prove who he is a huge favor. I think you should ask for more paper, and more paper, and more paper. I'm blaming you for all this gambling addictions, psychopath intuition.
Pause it. Oh man, this part now, he transitions into addressing Drake's dad, man. That's just like, that's just dope, man. Right? Kendrick is in his bag right here, fam. And that's why I know that Kendrick is a student of literature and reads books, like real talk. You know what I mean? Because not many rappers out there can write this masterfully. You know what I'm saying? You know, Drake make popular music that all the women dance to or whatever, but listening to a lot of his stuff, I can't tell if Drake really reads books, you know, because a lot of his disses and subs or whatever, like, real talk, I've never been a big Drake fan. I like some of his music, but people be on the internet going crazy about, yo, did you hear that sub? He this, so-and-so. And I listen to it, and I'm just like, this is simple-minded shit for simple-minded people who can think cleverly. Like, a lot of his subs to me were never really clever or like highly edified. You know what I mean? But I digress. You know, I don't know if he understands literature and culture on a whole like that, but I digress. But here Kendrick is using the slant rhyme scheme again to break down his opponent, right? Like at the end of the line, master manipulator, huge favor, right? Then Kendrick employs a literary tool here, or figure of speech, if you will, called anaphoria. And anaphoria, for those of you that don't know, anaphoria as a literary technique is the repetition of words at the beginning of successive phrases, right? So, like, when he goes into the line about his dad, he's like, you should ask for more paper, and more paper, and more paper, and more paper. That's an example of anaphoria, the literary tool, poetry tool, academic tool, however you want to think of it. That's an example right there. You should ask for more paper, and more paper. That repetition is a bap, 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 just hitting you with the more paper. You know what I mean? But that is dope, man. And then he addresses Drake's dad. Oh my God. Let me see where I'm at.
The like to play victim. You raised a horrible fucking person. The nerve of you, Dennis. Sandra, sit down. What I'm about to say is heavy. Now listen. More paper and more paper. I'm blaming you for all his gambling addictions, psychopath intuition, the man that like to play victim. You raised a horrible fucking person. The nerve of you, Dennis. Sandra, sit down.
Oh man, like he really lays into Drake's dad right there. These lines are devastating, fam. But again, you can see the dexterity and knowledge behind Kendrick's bars and his pen, his rhyme scheme, and using big words, you know what I'm saying? Using big words in there. You know, he goes blaming you for all his gambling, addiction, psychopath intuitions. That's a man that likes playing victim. All that right there is kind of like an end rhyme, but there's also some symbolism as an effective literature tool being used there, right? Because there Kendrick is saying that even though this dude portray something else to the world, you know, he's a superstar, I'm rich. He always talking about how rich he is. The symbolism Kendrick is painting there with his writing is that he's not a totally mentally healthy, stable person, right? And that's the literary tool he's there. And there's some internal rhyming going on there, like, you know, blaming, gambling, intuition, victim. That's some internal rhyming technique being employed there.
What I'm about to say is heavy, now listen. Your son's a sick man with sick thoughts. I think niggas like him should die. Him and Weinstein should get fucked up in a cell for the rest of their life. He hates black women, hypersexualize them with kinks of a nympho fetish. Grew facial hair because he understood being a beard just fit him better. He got sex offenders on OVO that he keep on...
Oh, pause it. So now he's like back to Drake's mom after he addresses the dad. He flips it back to Drake's mom. Just another devastating part of the track, fam. He's using literary techniques here, like, you know, he's breaking it down with some imagery and some alliteration. He's like sick man with sick thoughts. You know, I think that's like in rhyme. I think that's an in rhyme literary tool, but he's actually using the word sick. Or maybe that's an anaphoria because he's repeating the same word. He's a sick man with sick thoughts. So there's that reputation of sick. You know what I mean? And then he goes into the Weinstein shit and all about how Drake hypersexualized black women. You know, again, Kendrick is just showing his knowledge of using big words, you know, kink of a nympho fetish. You know what I mean? How many rappers is going to pull that out, fam? I don't know. I feel like this could be classified as a metaphor. But again, Kendrick's tone is what is just so devastating with these body shots. You know what I mean? And these and these lines. And then he goes into the double entendre. The double entendre say he grew facial hair because he understood being a beard fits him better. And for those who don't know, a beard, usually a woman is considered a beard. You know, if she's like posing or portraying to the world that she's the wife or girlfriend of a gay man. Maybe it can work the other way around. But here, you know, I guess the underlying meaning for this is that, you know, here's this dude who goes around and sleeps with all these women or pretends to sleep with this woman, but he's really gay. Like a lot of people for years been speculated like, yo, that nigga's gay. I think it was like 2020, I had a friend come over, a female friend, and there was something for Drake played on the TV, and she was like, that nigga gay. But anyway, I digress. So maybe he's pretending, or maybe he's using these women as props to pretend there isn't some questionable stuff going on, and relating that to the actual beard and how he's acting hard all the time, you know. to hide his true nature and putting on a show for the camera. But that's an ill lie, man. And then he goes into, he's got sex offenders on OVO. He keeps on a monthly allowance. Ah, that's some devastating stuff.
Monthly allowance. A child should never be compromised, and he keeping his child around him. And we gotta raise our daughters knowing there's predators like him lurking. Fuck a rap battle, he should die so all of these women can live with a purpose. I've been in this.
Oh man, pause it. So that part of the track right there, Kendrick was just being mad clever with the ho v ho. Ho v ho. I just say that his entire camp are hoes for the industry, you know what I mean? For fame or money, like y'all don't really stand for anything. You know what I mean? This part is like, it doesn't perfectly rhyme, but I feel like the tone in the pocket that Kendrick is in sets off as a literary piece by issuing a warning to all celebrities that, you know, that was so strategic on Kendrick's part. He's just like, keep y'all kids from around him. Just a little part of the overall track. This part has its own theme, right? Its own theme is a literary device. And the central theme is the unifying idea. And the unifying idea of this part specifically is that Drake and his peoples are some deviants and sexual predators, you know what I mean? Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But just looking at this from a literary and a poetic standpoint, this is like dope, devastating, all of the things.
Industry 12 years, I'ma tell y'all one little secret. There's some weird shit going on, and some of these artists be here to police it. They be streamlining victims out inside of their home and calling them tender. Then leak videos of themselves to further push their agendas. To any woman that be playing this music, know that you're playing your sister, or better yet, selling your niece. To the weirdos, not the good ones. Cat Williams that give you the
Woo! Pause it, fam. Pause it again, man. Kendrick just being in tune with culture and the social climate and the conversations happening in and among people of color. Like, oh man, homeboy just went like nuclear in this part of the track, man. And this part of the rhyme, literary wise, is more theme driven than anything, right? But he does have some rhyme, some rhyme in the literary devices buried here, right? You have streamline and victims and calling them tender. So you have streamlining rhyming with calling, right? And then he's like posting videos of themselves to further push their agenda. You have tender, agenda, you know what I mean? And then he goes into playing with playing the music to your sisters. Oh man, that's like a double entendre right there. That's to me, that's reading like a double entendre right now, right? So I guess he's saying like, if you're playing the music, you're essentially offering up your sisters, your nieces, your female counterparts to these deviants. You know what I mean? That's these deviants, this ho-vi-ho crew with nefarious intentions. You know what I mean? That's devastating, fam. Whether, again, all allegedly, I don't know, you know, but just like as a piece of writing and a poetic instrument, that's just devastating, man.
The truth, so I'ma get mines. The embassy about to get raided too. Or better yet, selling your niece to the weirdos, not the good ones. Cat Williams that give you the truth, so I'ma get mines. The embassy about to get raided too. It's only a matter of time. Hey, Lil Bron, keep the family away. Hey, Curry, keep the family away. To anybody that embody the love for the kids, keep the family away. They looking at you too if you standing by him. Keep the family away. I'm looking to shoot through any pervert that lives. Keep the family safe.
Wow. That's just another portion of literary excellence, man. This part is more theme driven, you know, but there's a bunch of end rhyming techniques in this section. You know, Cat Williams said the truth, blah blah blah. I'm gonna get mines. The very next line, he rhymes, it's only a matter of time. Then the next few lines he uses repetition of the same words at the end of each sentence. This could be considered a literary technique. It's like an end rhyme, right? He goes through it. He's like, keep the family away. Next line, to anybody that's out there, they keep the family away, right? So he keeps repeating the family away, family away, family away. 3 lines, and then the next line he switches it to keep the family safe. So he employs an end rhyme for like 3 successive lines, and then the 4th line, while not quite the same, but it's right there. So as a literary tool, he's using the end rhyme here to drive home the theme of, yo, this dude and his peoples, don't keep your kids around him. But yeah, that's just some devastating writing, man. That's just some devastating writing.
Dear baby girl, I'm sorry that your father not active inside your world. He don't commit to much, but it's music, yeah, that's for sure. He a narcissist, misogynist, living inside his songs. Try destroying families rather than taking care of his own. She'll be teaching you timetables or watching Frozen with you. Or at your 11th birthday, singing poems with you. Instead, he being Turks paying for sex.
Ooh. Those are some hard bars, man. Those are some hard bars, fam. So this is another devastating section for this track, man. When Kendrick addresses the alleged daughter, oh man, that's just brutal. He uses end rhyme literary technique in here. He's like, father not active inside your world. You go to the next line at the end. He says, yeah, that's for sure. So inside your world, yeah, that's for sure. That's sort of the rhyme. Kendrick, he then drew on some big words that rhyme perfectly. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's a in rhyme. You know, I feel like that's a in rhyme literary technique. You know, because he go like. I mean, could it be considered an alliteration? Just because the way narcissist and misogynist flows and sounds with the initial consonant sounds, or maybe it's an internal rhyme. I'm going to say it's an internal rhyme. Let's take a closer look at that. He's a narcissist, misogynist, living inside his songs. I feel like that's more internal rhyme that comes that comes with that line, while taking care of his own. I feel like the next few lines are kind of a. I feel like they're kind of like end rhyme literary tool. I mean. Inline literary tool, the rhyme scheme, taking care of his own, teaching timetables, watching Frozen with you, singing poems with you. Oh, no, I feel like that's an end rhyme, because he's like, should be taking care of his own, Frozen with you, poems with you. Care of his own, Frozen with you, poems with you. So as a literary tool, I feel like those 3 bars stack up to make use of end rhyme literary technique. That's dope, man. That's dope. You can't get away from it, whether you're a Kendrick fan or not.
Yeah, that's for sure. He a narcissist, misogynist, living inside his songs. Try destroying families rather than taking care of his own. She'll be teaching you timetables or watching Frozen with you. Or at your 11th birthday, singing poems with you. Instead, he being Turks paying for sex and popping perks, examples that you don't deserve. I want to tell you that you're loved, you're brave, you're kind. You got a gift to change the world and can change your father's mind. Cause our children is the future, but he lives inside confusion. Money's always been illusion. illusion, but that's the life he's used to. His father probably didn't claim him neither. History do.
Woo, woo, woo. Damn, just devastating bar after bar after bar, fam. Alright, so, here he's just delving into more of his opponent's proclivities, man. In this, this is like an internal rhyme scheme, man. In Turks, paying for sex and popping perks. Turks and perks just rhyme so perfectly. Right there, man. Like, yeah, that was a devastating line. Children are the future. Inside confusion, money's always an illusion. I feel like those two lines flow together as a literary tool. They seem to configure an internal rhyme scheme. Future, confusion, illusion, confusion, illusion. That's an internal rhyme scheme for sure. I think one could further add another literary category to say that might also work as illusion, right? Because Kendrick is using his words to refer to Drake with the idea that he's irresponsible, to suggest that he's like emotional to the audience. He's trying to evoke this emotion to the audience that this dude is putting on a show and not taking care of his kids. You know what I mean? Like, he's profiting off black life and black family, but he's focused on everything else, but not really taking care of his kids. Life is used to father probably didn't claim the line. His father probably didn't claim him neither. That's a slant rhyme technique, I think, with the use of those two lines. But it's so effective to convey the overall message of the track itself, not just this little section, but just this dude is like not a great person. Oh man, this is just like devastating stuff. Let's go back just a tad.
That's the life he's used to. His father probably didn't claim him neither. History repeats itself. Sometimes it don't need a reason. But I would like to say it's not your fault that he's hiding another child. Give him grace. It's the reason I made Mr. Morale, so our babies like you can cope later. Give you some confidence to go through something. It's hope later. I never want to hear you chasing in, cause it's felt behavior. Sitting in the club with sugar daddies for validation. You need to know that love is eternity and trumps all pain. I tell you who your father is, just play the song when it rains. Yes, he's a hit maker.
Woo, woo. Man, just bar after bar after bar of body blows. Woo, man. All right. History repeats itself. Here, Kendrick is throwing in another idiom, another black person, another elderly person saying that we've all heard, a bunch of times, man. That's so dope, that's black people cultural thing, you know what I mean? And again, this is the very theme and tone driven portion of the track, right? Where he's like, because this dude is hiding another child, that's the reason he made Mr. Morale. Drake is like, yo, look over here, look at me. This dude is putting on a show in the front. He's not really of us, from us, for us. You know what I mean? He's hiding another child. The slant rhyme technique Kendrick uses here, very effective. And he also suggested that Drake needs to look to his example of what a moral person should be again, And again, Kendrick, he's got big words for days, man. He's got big words, that's are kind of similar sounding, strewn throughout this part of the track, failed behavior, sugar daddy, for validation. So right there, he's saying that Drake's daughter, on the flip side, should not emulate what his what her dad is doing, again, allegedly, don't know if there's a daughter or not, you know, shouldn't emulate her dad's energy and movements of him like sitting in the club with sugar daddies for validation. She shouldn't grow up to be the sugar daddy sitting in the club with a man for validation. You know what I mean? Like, that's just like some crazy rhyme scheme, man. That's how I know this dude Kendrick like studies literature and reads books, you know what I mean? And not just play video games and have ghostwriters, fam. Like, yeah, this is like dope, man. You know, and the next two lines is an end rhyme scheme, because he's like, love is eternity and trumps all pain. Just play this song when it rains, you know. So he's using, again, literary device, end rhyme scheme. That is masterful writing.
Maker, songwriter, superstar, right? And a fucking dead beat that should never say more. Do something, it's hope later. I never want to hear you chase a man, cause it's felt behavior. Sitting in the club with sugar daddies for validation. You need to know that love is eternity and trumps all pain. I tell you who your father is, just play this song when it rains. Yes, he's a hit maker, songwriter, superstar, right? And a fucking dead beat that should never say more life. Meet the grounds.
Man, that's like a deadly 1-2 right there, man. So this line is describing Drake as a good example of the literary device of internal rhyme, right? He's like he's a hit maker, songwriter, superstar. You know what I mean? Like, all rhyming within the scheme in that one line, you know, and it's just flowing so good. And the scheme for that line implies the imagery that Drake is a big artist, but he's not taking care of his responsibility. So it's like internal rhyming within the scheme of the bar, while also like hammering home the tone and the imagery and the theme that he's not being a responsible dude, even though he's out here wilding and showing the world the glitz and the glamour. You know what I'm saying?
Dear Hybrid, I know you probably thinking I wanted to crash your party, but truthfully I don't have a hating bone in my body. It's supposed to be a good exhibition within the game, but you fucked up the moment you called out my family's name. Why you had to stoop so low to discredit some decent people? Guess integrity is lost when the metaphors doesn't reach you. And I like to understand, cause your house was never for a home. 37, but you showing up as a 7-year-old. You got gambling problems, drinking problems.
Woo! Let me stop it right there. Back up just a little bit. But this part of the track, he's addressing Drake directly. It's almost like a psychotherapy session for real, fam, at this point. This section is heavy with the literature tool of end rhyming, right? Thinking I wanted to crash your party. Don't have a hating bone in my body. Crash your party in my body. The next two flips it for the end rhymes, right? Exhibition within the game. Call out my family's name, right? This is just masterful writing, man, right? And then the next line is about the integrity. It's just a massively clever writing, bro. Massive. I mean, it's just so clever, right? He's saying Drake has to go on mudslinging because he can't get the metaphors he's penning, he's writing, he's sending his direction. He just can't get those, so he got to resort to mudslinging, or he can't express himself metaphorically, you know, to compete with Kendrick. You know, he's just mud wrestling at that point. Man, that's just dope.
Dear Aubrey, I know you probably thinking I wanted to crash your party, but truthfully I don't have a hating bone in my body. It's supposed to be a good exhibition within the game, but you fucked up the moment you called out my family's name. Why you had to stoop so low to discredit some decent people? Guess integrity is lost when the metaphors doesn't reach you. And I like to understand cause your house was never for a home. 37 but you showing up as a 7-year-old. You got gambling problems, drinking problems, pill popping and spending problems, bad with money, whorehouse, soliciting women problems. Therapy's a lovely start, but I suggest some ayahuasca. Strip the ego from the bottom. I try to empathize.
Woo, woo, man. Those are just some devastating line, man. There's some in this portion. Again, Kendrick employed the end rhyme technique. You know what I mean? The end rhyme technique, and the next line, 37, but you show up as a 7-year-old. I'm tempted to call that a double entendre. You know, I mean, I don't think it quite fits the definition of a double entendre, but there's just like such a deep and layered meaning behind that. And again, this is why I like guys like Kendrick, of course, Nas' favorite rapper of all time, because these guys write in such a way in which they can say like a simple thing to you, but it sounds so high level, intellectual, and elevated. Because essentially he's saying, yo fam, you 37, about to be 38, but you need to grow the fuck up, right? He's saying you show up as a 7-year-old. How clever is that shit, man? That's what I love about hip hop, fam. Yeah, so he also has some internal rhyme literary devices strewn throughout. So yeah, he's like, you grow up as a 7-year-old, and rhyme scheme. All right. So even though they don't rhyme perfectly, you know what? Matter of fact, like the slant rhyme technique goes into the internal rhyme technique. So he goes from the slant rhyme technique in the first line to the internal in the first and second line into the internal rhyme scheme. Because then he's like, you got gambling problems, drinking problems, pill poppings, and spending problems. That seems like an internal rhyme scheme. However, I'm tempted to move that to the anaphoria category just because he's repeating the word problems, pill popping, spending problems. You know what I mean? I feel like that might actually be more of a anaphoria as a figure of speech, a literary technique, than the in rhyme. But however you want to classify it, it's still devastating, you know. Oh man, and then then again he's just like, yeah, you need therapy, but really, fam, you should go to some hallucinogens to help elevate you to a higher spiritual plane. You know what I mean? That's just crazy writing and crazy talk. Kendrick, why you so evil to this man?
With you, cause I know that you ain't been through nothing. Crave entitlement, but wanna be like so bad that it's puzzling. No dominance. Let's recap moments when you didn't fit in. No secret handshakes with your friend. No culture cachet to binge. Just disrespecting your mother. Identities on the fence. Don't know which family will love you. The skin that you living in is compromised in personas. Can't channel your masculine even when standing next to a woman. You a body shamer. You go hide them baby mamas, ain't you? You embarrassed of them. That's not right. That ain't how mama raised us. Take that mask off. I want to see what's under them achievements. Why believe you? You never gave.
Whoa. Fam, like right here, man. This is like, you know, that again, back to that horror movie track when, you know, you have the constant piano or organ or whatever, and it's building and it's building and it's building. And here, Kendrick is just like raising his cadence, man. Like he's like, you know, when Jason is catching up to that victim that's running for their lives, man. That's, yeah, Kendrick is just like in a dope pocket with the cadence and the way he's changing his flow. Like, and that's what I don't get about Drake fans and all the Drake stands out there. Like, if they're like, oh, it's monotone or whatever, like, fam, if you're listening to this with a third ear and understanding bars and understanding literature, history, writing, you'd get the effect why, like, real hip hop heads and people who are really analyzing bars think this track is so devastating. So this part of the track is devastating, fam, because you can hear the theme switches because he's addressing Drake directly, right? And the underlying theme is that you're not from the culture, you are doing nefarious things to disrespect the culture, and trying to fit in at the same time and benefit from the culture. Kendrick employs a slant rhyme literary technique here, to say like, yo, fam, you ain't been through nothing. We've seen those tapes of you in your lily white, safe Jewish neighborhood. You know what I mean? So, like so bad, that is so puzzling. That's a slant rhyme technique. No dominance, recap your moments. No secret handshake with your friends. Again, just the theme. If you're not from the culture, you're just not from the culture. Kendrick uses words that, not everybody uses in everyday language. It's like, no cultural cachet. Like, how often do you use cachet in everyday conversation? That's really awesome phrasing right there, man. Disrespecting your mother, your identity on the fence, don't know what family, what skin you fit in. He's just like eviscerated dude. And again, not perfectly rhymed words, but again, it's the theatric, it's the tone, it's the change in cadence that's driving this part of the track home. And structurally, just the way the tone is being driven home, it's being conveyed that Drake has no respect for black women and black people in general, and that he's hiding another baby mama. I mean, that's just like devastating stuff, man.
Give us nothing to believe in, cause you lied about religious views. You lied. Soliciting women problems. Therapy's a lovely start, but I suggest some ayahuasca. Strip the ego from the bottom. I try to empathize with you, cause I know that you ain't been through nothing. Crave entitlement, but wanna be like so bad that it's puzzling. No dominance. Let's recap moments when you didn't fit in. No secret handshakes with your friend. No culture cachet to binge. Just disrespecting your mother. Identities on the fence. Don't know which family will love you. The skin that you living in is compromised and personas can't channel your masculine even when standing next.
Like, and this is the part where you gotta be listening, because like the previous section that I just broke down, if you go back there, you'll notice that Kendrick's cadence and the intensity of his word, like driving home the theme of the overall track, it's increasing, and the beat is getting spookier and spookier. You're in a horror movie, and that the killer, the mass killer, it's Jason, it's Michael Myers, is gaining on the victim. Like, all that is changing, right? All that is changing, and you're getting ready to go into like the final stanza of the track, right? I must point out, I'm a huge horror movie fan, so that's why I'm doing like all the horror movie references. I worked on The Walking Dead for many years, as part of the design team. I do love like a lot of Blumhouse and The Conjuring and Insidious series, all that shit. That's my bag, fam. The horror movie shit. But the inflection, the way Kendrick is building up to this last part of the track, if you watch The Exorcist, or any of those like possession-based movies, like when the kid is possessed by the demon, at first it would be like little signs, but as you get closer to the climax of the movie, the confrontation between the priest, and the exorcist and that demon that's possessing the child, and the child is speaking, at first you'd hear just little hints of the demon, but then once the demon takes over, it's just like, that demon voice. So that's what Kendrick's building to in this last stanza, man. you know. And this is pretty sick, fam. Dope stanza. I feel like the literary technique that Kendrick uses for this last part coming up that I'm about to play, it's heavy with the anaphoria technique, repeating, you lied, you lied, you lied. You know, Game of Thrones fans, like when they were throwing stuff at Cersei as she walked through the street, like, shame, shame, shame. You know, it's like, you lied. So the technique being employed, the literary tool being employed throughout most of this last portion of the bar coming up is anaphoria. And, you know, see the definitions. I'm going to post the definitions too.
Next to a woman, you a body shamer. You go hide them baby mamas, ain't you? You embarrassed of them. That's not right, that ain't how mama raised us. Take that mask off, I wanna see what's under them achievements. Why believe you? You never gave us nothing to believe in. Cause you lied about religious views. You lied about your surgery. You lied about your accent and your past tense, all this perjury. You lied about your ghostwriters. You lied about your crew members. They all pussy. You lied on them. I know they all got you in them. You lied about your son. You lied about your daughter, huh? You lied about them other kids that's out there hoping that you come. You lied about the only artist that can offer you some help. Fuck a rap battle. This a long life battle with yourself.
Alright, fam, and there you have it, man. A literary breakdown, you know, of the bars for this track. Kendrick Lamar, Meet the Grimes. Yo, please like, subscribe, mash those buttons, help your boy drive this up. You know, I'm trying to grow this channel. I've got like just so many different things that I want to do on this channel. You know, my channel is more about like, it's not salacious shit, man. It's more about like knowledge and sharing knowledge and, you know, hopefully imparting some book learning, you know what I mean? I work in films. I'm working to develop a few projects of my own, so help me grow this channel. The channel grows, that's me getting one step closer to realizing some of these dreams and goals so I can employ hundreds of people, man. So support your boy. All right, peace.